What's up everybody, we're back with another raid guide and today we're taking a look at Mekkatorque. So I'll be going over all the mechanics, how they work and our overall strat for this fight. This is a 3-phase fight with the second phase being kind of an intermission and the third being a combination of phase 1 and 2. But let's start off with Mekkatorque's abilities. These abilities are used in phase 1 and 3 and first out we have electroshock strikes. Mekkatorque's auto attacks deal extra nature damage, increases in damage by 15% for each consecutive auto attack against the same tank. Just your average tank swap mechanic, you can swap around 3 or 5 stacks. And Buster Cannon, casted ability, shoots a large blue electrical ball. Anyone hit takes a large amount of nature damage plus a debuff, which deals ticking nature damage over 8 seconds, but it also reduces haste by 100% for the duration. So this time it's actually a DPS loss if you stand and stuff. And a little combo move, starts off with Blast Off, jumps into the air, deals fire damage to anyone within 10 yards when he does this, and Crash Down, deals physical damage to everyone, but it also deals a very large amount of physical damage to anyone within 12 yards of where he lands. Don't stand where he blasts off or lands, there's big circles, they're very easy to see. And Gigavolt Charge, it debuffs a player, making them take ticking nature damage every second for 15 seconds. When it expires, it detonates Gigavolt Blast. This deals a lot of nature damage plus an additional ticking nature damage every 2 sec for 30 sec to anyone within line of sight of that target. So before it detonates you have to be out of line of sight of your raid or you'll just blow everyone up. But I will go over this a bit later. And Wormhole Generator, it teleports the whole raid to the location of one random player. Not much to say about it really. And the fun mechanic, deploy Sparkbot and World Enlarger. Every now and then a Sparkbot is dropped from a mini helicopter, roughly every 20 seconds or so. Sparkbots take 99% reduced damage and they will walk towards a random player while they constantly cast Spark Pulse, which deals high nature damage and stuns any player within 8 yards for 1.5 seconds. Spark Pulse also deals a small amount of nature damage to a few randomly selected raid members. This part is unavoidable. It's a large blue circle around the bots, so it's very easy to see, don't stand near the bots. These ads are CCable, so you can, for example, root them, but more on that later. When you get a third Sparkbot, Mekkatorque will cast World Enlarger. It will target 3 random members of the raid and apply the Shrunk debuff. Shrunk players deal 99% reduced damage, and these players can also be stepped on by non-Shrunk members of the raid, which hurts like hell and in a lot of cases will just flat out kill them. And all the players that get shrunk will have to do a minigame in order to kill the Sparkbots. And this is where it gets fun. Basically, players 1, 2 and 3 must each enter a different Sparkbot. You just click on them. Upon entering, the players will have their action bars replaced with shutdown code buttons. Each player in a bot will see a shutdown code icon above both other Sparkbots. However, they will not see one over their own bot. So these 3 players needs to communicate to let each other know what icon is above their bot so they can press the correct buttons. And if you do this correctly 3 times, you'll be able to shut down the bot permanently. Miss one and you will get knocked out of the bot, get stunned for 12 seconds and take a ton of ticking damage, which will most likely kill you. It's like 100k or more per tick. We found 2 ways to deal with the bots that seemed to work fairly well and consistent. First one was, as soon as 3 players got shrunk, we designated one of them to be the caller, if you will. That player would call out what icon was above the 2 other bots, and then one of those players would call out his icon. So player X would say something like, Bob is blue, Stankie is red, and then Stankie would say player X is yellow. And we repeat this 3 times. When everyone has gotten one icon correct, we call out the new ones, and so on and so forth. The other way is that when you get shrunk, you designate one caller and he deals with one bot super fast. So he just calls out like Bob Blue, Bob Red, Bob Yellow, killing off that bot fast, and then player X and Stankie would be free to talk without any confusions. But I mean, there's loads of ways to do it. Whichever works the best is probably up to each raid to decide. We didn't play around with any weak auras for this, but I have seen some guilds use it. If you find one that's good, please share it in the comments if other raiders want to try them out. And these bots will happen throughout the fight until the boss is dead, so have fun. Other than that, in phase 1 you want to keep the boss in the middle and range spread out around the room a bit. Tanks should tank swap at around 3 to 5 stacks, or when one of the tanks gets gigavolt charge and needs to run and hide. Make sure to dodge the buster cannons, just don't stand in front of the boss when he casts this. If you get gigavolt charge on you, you have to run away and line of sight the raid. There's positions that works really well for this. We marked them out with star, circle and diamond, and then had big wigs mark any player that gets it with one of those marks. So star ran to star, circle to circle, you get the idea. Just stand behind the pillars or rubble, wait for it to tick out and you'll be fine. Healers, keep an eye out for this debuff, they might need a bit of extra healing. As for the spark bots, you don't want them running around the raid stunning and damaging people, so we had 1 DK, 2 boomkins to handle them. When the first bot spawned, depending on where, we would simply root it. When the second or third bot spawned, our DK would grip them close to each other, so we mostly had 3 of the bots grouped up together. Not on top of each other, but close. And then our boomkins would rotate mass roots on him to keep him in place. You can also knock him away with Ring of Peace, Typhoon, etc, so a DK is not mandatory, but it makes it a bit easier. When Mekkatorque uses World Enlarger, every single player in the raid needs to stand still, so that the 3 shrunk players can move around so you don't step on them and kill them. You really want 3 bots to die anytime World Enlarger is cast, so losing a shrunk player is not good. And shrunk players needs to get to their bots fast and deal with the shutdown codes. If a bot is placed far away from other bots, it might be hard to see the icon, so just move. You can walk around with the bot when you're in it. And on top of this, every now and then you will get teleported to a random player by the wormhole generator. Doesn't do much, but it does sometime overlap with the gigavolt charge, meaning that players that have to run out and hide with this debuff will be teleported back and stacked with the entire raid. If possible, use roar or windrush totem when this happens and it should be fine. Just note that it will happen. Phase 1 ends when the boss reaches 40%, then phase 2 will start instead. Phase 2, or the intermission, Mekkatorque flies into the air and starts raining hell onto the raid for 50 seconds. He will shrink a lot of the players in the raid, not just 3 of them, when he goes into this intermission. He also uses signal exploding sheep. Throws exploding sheep at the raid every 16 seconds or so while he's in the air. The sheep explode after a few seconds, dealing a huge amount of fire damage to anyone within 8 yards, but it also shoots shrapnel out from the center explosion, deals a bit of fire damage plus ticking fire damage for 10 seconds, which stacks. Don't stand in sheep explosion, don't touch the fire waves. Gigavolt charge, wormhole and world enlarger continue being cast in this phase, so players will still need to run out with gigavolt and line of sight it. Everyone needs to be careful not to step on the shrunk players, seeing how there's a lot more of them. We tried having most of our big players in the middle and shrunk players out to the side. Either way is fine, I just suggest you assign something for this. And as I said, the boss will cast wormhole generator in this phase, meaning all shrunk players and big players will be teleported on top of each other. We just had a rule that as soon as this happened, the big players stood still for 3 or 5 seconds and any small player just ran like hell. Depending on when you get the boss to 40%, your bot situation might differ. 2 bots will always spawn a bit into phase 2. So if you push the boss to phase 2 with only 1 bot up, you can save that bot a bit and blow up all 3, so that bot and the 2 that spawns. However, if you go into phase 2 with 2 or more bots, you will need to blow these up first and then blow up the 2 new bots that spawns during the intermission. You will get a couple of players shrunk as soon as phase 2 begins, and then a new set of shrunk players during phase 2. If you have 2 or more bots up when phase 2 starts, you want to use the first set of shrunk players for those bots and then clear the other 2 bots that spawns during the intermission with the second set of shrunk players. Other than that, AFK, watch out for the fire waves and exploding sheeps. If done correctly, you will get into phase 3 with no bots up. Which brings us to the final phase, phase 3. It starts approximately 50 seconds after phase 2 has started, so it is on a timer. When phase 3 starts, Mekkatorque returns to the ground, and this phase is pretty much phase 1 combined with a bit of phase 2, except he gains the hyperdrive buff. It increases his attack speed by 30%, it increases the rate of spark bot spawns. On top of this, he periodically saps several players with hyperdrive discharge, dealing a large amount of nature damage damage, and there's still going to rain exploding sheep all over the place. So you deal with this phase pretty much the same as you do in phase 1, there's just a lot more going on at a faster rate, and there's a lot more damage going out to the raid. Tanks will take more damage to try and manage the boss stacks as much as possible. Ranged DPS and healers avoid standing near any sheep when the boss is about to use wormhole generator, so you don't teleport the entire raid on top of a sheep and wipe them. Keep on dodging the buster cannons, line of sight with a gigavolt discharge. You will still need to deal with the bots, grip them away, root them, and when you get shrunk, hop into a bot and deal with the shutdown minigame. Use Bloodlust in this phase and burn him down before everything gets out of hand. And I think that's pretty much it for this encounter. Hope it helps, and if you have any questions at all, make sure to hit me up in the comments below. Don't forget to check out my Patreon if you'd like to support me and my work, and as always, hit that subscribe button, leave me a like, and ring that notification bell and switch it to all. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.